Hello. I wanted to talk today about my engineering career and the salary that I've made from my engineering career over time. So I have another video posted to my channel that goes more into depth on each position that I've held in my engineering career and like the pathway that I used, basically starting from my time in high school all the way up through project management and being a senior project manager in the engineering career pathway, basically. So I guess I'll start in the Air Force. We weren't making crap. I think once I got married, which is more of what I remember salary-wise, I think I was making like between like 16 and 1900 every 2 weeks, which is kind of wild to think about now, at least in comparison to maybe even just my first job out of the Air Force. But you also have to take into account in the Air Force you're paid for food pretty much. Like you get free food from the DFAC, you get a free place to live on base. Now once you get married, you don't get access to the DFAC, which is elimination of the free food pretty much, but you still get paid like $1,600 a month for housing. I think if you stayed on base, they were only charging you like $1,000, so you get $600 back. I think that's how that. Or no, they charged you the entire $1,600 on base. But yeah, it wasn't much. Let's just make it equivalent to like 40 to 50,000 a year or something like that, if you were to take that overall and kind of put it in a civilian context. So after the Air Force, after I got out, the first position that I held, which was in the residential estimating space, I was making $42,500. That's what I asked for, negotiated for. Probably should have negotiated much higher, which I'll also have another video basically going into. You should always ask for an extremely high salary so that you can use it as a start point versus going low. But you live and learn. And so I was there for right around a year or so, and I ended up getting my next position, which I started at $52,500. It's $52,500 a year. And while I was there, I ended up getting a raise to like $54,000. And even at that point, I was like, this is trash. Like, what am I gonna do with this, especially with a family? But yeah, so that was that. After there, I moved on to a position that had me at $79,500, I think, so almost $80,000. We was starting to cook with grease there a little bit. I could tell that fit our lifestyle a little bit better than being in the 50 range. And now, actually, one of the things that I'll tell you about the place that I was making 50 at, or 54 at, was that I had tried to ask for a raise up to 70,000, but in these larger companies, they have certain things set where you can only ask for a raise at a certain point in a year. They were telling me I was gonna have to wait. I was telling them deuces. You go make some money. That's the important thing. Realistically, why do you leave your house? Why do you leave the people who you love and like to be around to go out here? It's to make money. I'm not playing games out here. And so the next position I would have had after that 79.5, which I think they, you know what, I negotiated a raise from that salary at the same place. So I think in the very beginning, I negotiated going from 79.5 to 82.5, which is like a $3,000 raise after the first 6 months. They gave it to me, and let's see, I left there, and my next position would have been 95,000. One of the things that I didn't mention before with that position is that they gave me a $5,000 bonus to start off. So in reality, it was 100,000, but not too long after getting that $5,000 bonus, especially because it got taxed so heavy, I was just like, 95. Like, I could probably do better than this, especially since I'm spending all day outside in this Arizona heat as a project manager, which is what that position was for. And last but not least, that's for sure, is my move to general contracting. And in the general contracting space, they tend to have a little bit better pay for salary, but it still tends to be smaller companies who give you a higher salary. You may have to work a little bit harder or wear a few more hats, but they also don't get the same volume of work as larger places. So you'll still, with wearing multiple hats and possibly having to kind of work harder, you won't work as hard as you will with a larger general contractor. But there, I negotiated a salary of $114,000, which at the same place, they were offering a salary all the way up to $25,000 that I could have negotiated for, but I kind of tried to fit my experience level to the salary to make it make sense. So at $114,000 after tax, we're making closer to like $2,000 a week, which, if you remember, I started this off at in the Air Force at $1,900 or $1,600, one of the two, per every 2 weeks. So a substantial jump in salary. I felt like I could actually breathe a little bit, but at the same time, give and take. You ask me, I'm shooting for 130 now, and I'll probably end up getting it eventually. A year or two from now, we'll see. I constantly keep my resume circulating to kind of figure out what the market wants, what the market is doing, and who's willing to hire. And it always changes up, so yeah. I implore you, regardless of if you decide to get into my career field, because that's what I talk about and teach about all the time, because before the Air Force, let's go into that, I worked fast food plenty of times, worked in a warehouse before. So I know the crappy salaries before I joined the Air Force. I think the most I ever made was like $9 an hour, and that's super trash. So I teach it because the salaries are high. You work 40 hours a week. I work in an office as an estimator, as a project manager. I would work in the field a little bit more, but you're still working out of an office a lot of the times. And it's a pretty decent lifestyle, almost like equivalated to like software development or computer science, just because you're in front of the computer all day. And yeah, you can check the description if you want to learn a little bit more about my career, the career path. I have a website and ebooks on the topic, kind of throwing in all of the knowledge that I have and trying to facilitate you a better career. I also have an ebook on getting over for alcoholism, because making my life more reasonable helped me in my career without it being all chaotic and whatnot. But hey, that's what I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to let you know about the engineering career path. Not all pathways into engineering pay the same per se. I'll probably have a lower tier or lower end paying career in engineering. Plenty of people, let's say if you went into maybe aircraft engineering or aeronautics engineering or something like that, you probably make a little bit more. I'm not fully sure about that, but there are a few other career paths, like a petroleum engineering. Not a lot of jobs, but very high paying jobs in petroleum engineering. But all right, I'm gonna let you go and we'll talk.